My friends, we have some massive stories to get through today, as I'll be discussing my predicted lineup against Servette in our second leg game. I'll be talking Sancho and Osimhen updates, and I'll be discussing the breaking reports surrounding our efforts to sign yet again another centre-back. So many things to discuss, but my friends, I have a few more plugs to drop. If you guys haven't realized already, today I've released my massive collaboration with Eunice Talks Football as we discuss all things transfer deadline day. You'll find a link to that in the card above. But on top of that too, my friends, if you still haven't bought any of this season's home kit, away kit, or yesterday's newly launched third kit, I'm your guy. You'll find all the links you need in the card above, description below, and don't forget to use Nini10 at checkout to get 10% off your final order. That's that out of the way. And let's get straight into things. We already have secured a 2-0 first leg advantage, so tomorrow I won't even consider or entertain the idea of us getting knocked out against Servette. That's impossible now. But let's discuss the latest squad news, as both Josh Achimpong and Tyreek George have travelled with the squad. That's big news. Do not expect to see Romeo Lavia or Reece James playing, and don't expect to see Joao Felix playing against Servette, as he wasn't registered in time, of course, to take part in this playoff game. Now, once we get to that group stage, which I'm expecting us to do, expect to then see him play in the Conference League. But on top of that, also don't expect to see Malo Gusto or Pedro Neto, who won't be playing due to injury prevention. They have no injuries, but we aren't going to rush these guys back. We're not going to overload them or create any issues. And for me, this is music to my ears. Why have you not been doing this on a consistent basis over the years? So that's the info out the way. As you guys can see, Jorgensen in goal. In defense, I've gone for Achimpong, Tosin, Badia, and Vega. In midfield, I've gone for Enzo and Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall. In attack, I've gone for Nkunku. I've gone for Tyreek George. I've gone for Madueke, and I've gone for Gu up front. Now, this is the lineup I'm guessing we could see. We're hearing reports that Disasi hasn't been brought with the squad because he may be sold before deadline day. Newcastle, if they can't sign Guy, which is looking very likely at the moment, will then turn their efforts into signing Disasi. Let's see what happens there. So it's a big opportunity for Achimpong to show what he's about. Let's not forget, the club once said that they prioritize Achimpong over our effort to sign Pedro Lima in the summer, as they saw him as the better, stronger talents. So we should be using the Conference League to give opportunities to our strong academy grads. So I think Achimpong will play on that side. He will become that third man centre-back. Vega will invert in midfield. Tosin stays as the central centre-back, and Badia moves to the left-hand side. I think there's pretty decent balance in that defence. I think Vega will be the muscle alongside Enzo Fernandez, who can really help the team by connecting us up the field with his incredible passing range. And hopefully we'll have license to roam further forward, with Vega playing that more defensive midfield role. In attack, of course, Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall will be moving as the offensive 8, and I think he'll be doing that alongside Christo Nkunku, who of course came on in the final 10 minutes against Wolves, and I think there's a reason behind why, as he's set to play in this game against Servette. So seeing Nkunku and Dewsbury-Hall bringing that balance, I do think we'll see them supported on the wings by Mudryk, who will move to the right-hand side, Tyreek George on the left-hand side, and Gu up front. Now, listen, I think Madueke should continue to play on the right-hand side, but I do think that there's no need to make him play consecutive games. He doesn't have to start the game. He can end the game. He doesn't have to start. And already we have seen Maresca use Mudryk as a right winger. Playing down that right flank, could it be easier for him because there's less possibilities to cut inside? He has to stay on the outside. He has to be that overlapping option. He must support that width. And that could be interesting to see, because I don't think Maresca is afraid to use him on the left or the right flank. This would then mean, without Joao Felix and others around, that Tyreek George, in my opinion, should have an opportunity to start this game at least, to show what he's about. Now, obviously, if we can sign guys like Sancho and Co, he may find it very hard securing game time this season, but regardless, give this kid a chance against Servette. I think we have more than enough talent starting the game and coming off the bench. So let's see what he does. And I think up front, we will continue to see Gu starting up front. I hope this time he bags a goal. He was very unlucky not to score against Servette. Very bad news, but the guy is very young, and The fact that he created that possibility for himself with his intensity off the ball, that is a big pro and plus in my opinion. And I think having Nkunku alongside him, connecting the play, that could be what really helps him against Servette. So that's my predicted lineup. My friends, share yours below if you agree or not. And right now, let's discuss today's breaking reports that's coming out. So my friends, we move on to one of the breaking stories of today, as we are looking to sign yet again another centre-back. Today's reports links us with the most popular defender this deadline day, and his name is Tomas Araujo from Benfica, 22 years old, 187 centimeters. I'll be discussing his game in greater detail, but for you purists, for you guys that love silky, skillful football players, I think you guys are going to take very well to Tomas Araujo. But let's discuss the reports first. As we know, currently, Crystal Palace had a bid rejected for Araujo. Paris Saint-Germain see Araujo as the replacement to Skriniar if Skriniar accepts a move to Al Nassr. At the meantime, there's no confirmation just yet that Skriniar is definitely set to go to Saudi Arabia. It's looking likely, but nothing is concrete. Paris Saint-Germain are kind of stuck, and they can't sign Araujo without guaranteeing Skriniar's sale. So reports in England have come out suggesting that we are looking to take advantage of Paris Saint-Germain's slow progression in their efforts to sign Araujo, and we are learning some very interesting reports. Now, Paris Saint-Germain have already offered Araujo around 5 million euros a year. Palace had a 20 million euro offer rejected for Araujo. Benfica are remaining adamant that there will be no sales of the defender, but of course they'll say that they're a selling club, and if the right opportunities come in, they will sell up. So let's now turn to reports coming out from CNN Portugal. This is very interesting. They actually report that we are prepared to make a 40 million euro offer and potentially offer a player in exchange. Now, who could that player be? One player, in my opinion, I would not be surprised if he offered would be Angelo. Now, Angelo has slowly become the forgotten man in our squad. I thought he had a promising season on loan at Strasbourg. I was very disappointed that he didn't continue his season with Strasbourg again. And in the meantime, he isn't training with the first team squad. We've learned that we'd be open to a loan or a sale. And after David Neres completed his move to Napoli, I do feel that Benfica maybe could be open to possibly taking on board a right winger if that right wing was available. So that's my opinion, but let's watch this space. I'll give you guys some more context too, but Araujo is currently a client of Jorge Mendes. Last year, Jorge Mendes tried to engineer a move for Araujo to go to Wolves, as Araujo is only now making his proper breakthrough at Benfica. He was on loan at Gil Vicente, but he's been a player that's had a massive reputation within the Benfica academy ranks. Both himself and Antonio Silva, who are now playing together, were actually seen within coaching circles in Benfica at being some of the strongest centre-backs they've ever produced. And now that's starting to grow and develop, you're seeing the promise behind both centre-backs and their talents. Still though, my friends, we must wait to see if both Chalobah and Disasi leave. If they do that, then it seems like we are ready to make a move. We wait to see if Disasi signs for Newcastle. Of course, we must wait for Guy's move to flop. Fingers crossed, let's see what happens there. In the case of Chalobah, I'll be honest with you, reports came out yesterday saying that the club were impressed by how Chalobah's carrying himself and his professionalism, and there was a possibility that if Disasi in fact was sold, Chalobah could keep his spot in the squad. Now, it seems that Maresca in his press conference before the Servette game has completely just shut down all that talk, because he said if you're a player that isn't training with the first team squad, you're going to find it difficult to get minutes. So good luck. And obviously Chalobah is not part of that squad. I think it's mad that we already have a player that's already kind of familiar with how to play in this setup, that has the positional versatility as well, can play in a multitude of roles. And if Disasi did leave, why not just keep Trevor Chalobah? It really does confuse me. I'll keep things real. But regardless, my friends, you want to understand who Araujo is, what he's about. It's probably the first time a lot of you guys are hearing about him, and I'll give you guys some context. Now, if I was to be really cynical, I'd say he's like a more advanced version of Anselmino. And I mean that in the sense that Anselmino's 18, 19 years old. Araujo's like 22, about to turn 23. Imagine where Anselmino would be in 3-4 years time, and that's where Araujo currently is at. Now Araujo is part of the modern day centre back, and when I say that I mean he's part of the press resistant crowd. Now these centre backs have always been in the game. Look at the famous example being Beckenbauer. We saw a defender like this in our ranks in David Luiz, and even Andreas Christensen is in that mold of defender, but for some reason we never actually let him play his game. We never actually let him play that type of game with us. We expected different things from him defensively. So we are now going back to this more press-resistant style defender, and I think it makes sense considering Disasi is kind of not needed now. He's more of a box defender, a very good box defender, but we don't defend that way anymore. So now there's no utility behind his signing. Now Araujo is very fast. I think last season he clocked the fastest speed for a centre-back at around 37.7 kilometers an hour, which is very, very good. But the best thing about his game is that this guy is essentially a winger and a midfield player wrapped up as a centre-back. Now, Benfica have a reputation of going for these very classy ball-carrying defenders. Araujo is part of that crowd coming through their academy, and wow, this guy is phenomenal on the ball. I mean, he dribbles like Busquets and a winger when he's getting past his man. He can just carry the ball, constantly break lines, very good weight of pass. He is very strong at kick-starting attacks and instigating them. And I say he's a very proactive style defender, and that's the defender that we need. Someone that can follow their man into their half, someone that's very strong in his challenge, someone that has very strong legs when it comes to making those interceptions. He ranks stupidly high for progressive carries, progressive passes, and you're watching the clips, you can see exactly why he's ranked in those capacities, because how many defenders are that silky at carrying the ball up the field? Defensively, I'd say he's a lot stronger aerially. I think he can definitely work on other facets like his positioning in his game. I think maybe in terms of defending wide, which he'll be required to do quite a lot of times, I feel like there's definitely room for improvement in those areas. But in terms of the technical capacities, this guy completely has it. But then it goes back to, do we need to spend 40 million of our money signing another centre-back when Osimhen was coming through, and when we could probably just keep Jalaba for now until Osimhen joins up with the squad alongside Esteval and Paez next season? So they're my thoughts and opinions, but I thought I'd share, who this player is and why he's doing the rounds right now. Of course, we haven't made an official bid. CNN Portugal are still reporting that we are open to making an offer like that, but we are just appreciating the player, and we wait to see which defender leaves us from our side first. My friends, begin things with the big updates surrounding both Sancho and Osimhen. Starting with Jadon Sancho, positive news, but earlier this afternoon it was revealed that Juventus had reached an agreement with Manchester United over a loan move with an obligation to buy attached on the end for Jadon Sancho. Now, reports from Fabrice Hawkins mentioned that Sancho was very keen and open to moving to Juventus, but now, literally like 10 minutes ago, it has come out from England that Sancho now is holding out for a move to us and is waiting for us to find an agreement with Manchester United. Now, let's not forget the realities of this news here. Sancho and Sterling wouldn't be a straight swap. They're going to be separate deals that's negotiated separately. So let's say if United fail for Sterling, that wouldn't technically stop us from finding an agreement for Jadon Sancho. It makes a lot of sense why Sancho would like to remain in this country and sign for us. Of course, he is a Chelsea fan. This is a big opportunity for himself. In the press conference before the Servette game, Maresca didn't deny Sancho and just remained respectful, stating that he isn't our player yet, but of course he knows him and he's a very good player. So let's watch the space, but big things are set to happen in the next few days. And my friends, beyond things on the latest news surrounding Victor Osimhen, and currently, our ahli have come back in full force, and things are starting to really heat up now because we are learning that our ahli have improved their offer for Victor Osimhen, and this improvement is nuts. They have offered him a 4-year deal worth 120 million euros. On top of that, they've agreed to allowing a release clause in that deal because Victor and his agent had a plan that if their last resort was Saudi Arabia, he would be there for the next 1 to 2 years before going back to Europe, still being in his prime. So our ahli, they are ready to play ball. And currently, of course, it seems like they've positioned themselves in a very strong way. And now it's time for us to react. Now, as we know, we're still negotiating over contract terms. And it does seem like We are ready to pay him big money, but he must accept our incentivized way in which we give out contracts. Now, I personally think that there should be some compromise, but not entirely from Osimhen's point. I feel like the club can also be a bit flexible, because if they really want him, then you pay a bit more money because you're signing a world-class player. Now, should any of us be maybe a bit skeptical around the club doing this? Maybe not, because if we look at the history of our deals, look at how we signed Enzo Fernandez, Caicedo. Let's keep things real. We overpaid for them, but we showed that commitment to overpaying for the right player, and I can't imagine after all this time spent, we would happily just accept defeat for Osimhen and go for our second best option. We've shown under clearly we will do everything in our power to sign our main number one, and there is a big opportunity here, but it comes down to the flexibility we find, and hopefully we do find the agreement, because Osimhen and his agent, I think, are really ready to prioritize remaining in Europe, and I think the Premier League would be a new beast for Osimhen to tackle, and I think he could really do something here. And let's say in his first year, he earns a bit less. There's nothing to say that he won't get the extensions he needs in the next 1 to 2 years. So fingers crossed something happens. Let's see how it goes, my friends. In my opinion, with these latest Osimhen developments, I feel like both parties are trying to play each other. I think they're both trying to use the lack of time against each other, because now that Osimhen has this incredible transfer offer, this may force us to have to react. Now, we're not going to match the offer, but if Osimhen and his team show that, yes, they could be tempted to make this move to Saudi due to this incredible money, could that force us now to up our offer? Let's watch the space and let's see what happens. So my friends, on that note, I'm going to wrap things up and keep things moving. I hope you guys enjoy and stay with me for tomorrow for even more videos, and make sure you're here for my watch along stream and match review too. So thank you for watching. See you guys all soon, and don't forget to watch my massive collaboration with Eunice Talks Football. So see you all then.